What's up, everybody? Today I will be recapping and just reviewing today's price action really quickly, just narrative-wise, and just going throughout the whole trade day. I didn't take no trades today. No trade day, super valid if you didn't take any trades. And yeah, let's get started. So for the narrative, same as yesterday, I was pretty bullish, just over respecting, disrespecting. That's where the draw was. I was aiming towards these highs. Highs are here, even though it's SMT, we barely got a reaction, so it's not really meaning anything. We're just placing higher. Same for this low. This high, this silly, low side imbalance, and these highs, right? On ES, similar idea. However, this is already taken, but since we are just displacing high, I was aiming towards this draw right here, so overall bullish, holding bullish order flow with this 4 hour gap, so I wasn't really worried. Then daily narrative on the day, daily profile was, I'll leave that position. I didn't take that, I was just simply looking at it. No XFA trades, not even no eval trades for me. I think the only opportunities today were 30 seconds, but looking at the daily profile, we can see that this gap was holding, then pre-market, Asia, pretty much consolidated, then we took those lows, started displacing higher, took all of these previous session draws, and yeah, just bullish, and yep, staying with this bullish order flow. Looking to be New York continuation longs towards higher draws on ES. Generally, literally the same thing. So what do we have? We have two 15-minute gaps right here on open that I want to see get tapped into, just so we can get a long, preferably one that lies in EQ of the range. There's a discounted gap, which is this second 15-minute gap. I want to see, because this 15-minute gap is sure decent, but I want to trade. I don't want to. Gaps at a premium are just like kind of a bare minimum. IFPGs just a little more whack than usual. Alright, going on to open. We get that open low that we're looking for, right? Wait, what time is it? Oh my god, it's not even. Hold up, boys. Sorry about that. Yep, we get that open low that we're looking for, right? We do get some 30-second setups, but I'm not going to be going over those because I don't really take 30 seconds unless it's on evals. Some on XFAs, but they have to be like super obvious. Yep. So we are displacing. We get that 15-minute gap tap. However, we only get this gap, and by the time that we do inverse it, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 candles to inverse. Not only are we just loading up OR at our stop loss, something that Ronan went over today that I found really interesting is that, well, it's something pretty obvious, but it's the same reason why I didn't take it, just a little different. This makes it click a little easier on your head, in your head. We shouldn't be rejecting, like, just wicking these and respecting this 1 minute gap if our actual like high time frame narrative is so correct. Because think about it, like, if our high time frame narrative and draw and overall trade idea for the day is super correct, we should just be ripping through these gaps, getting that V shape, and just getting very good displacement and distribution through these gaps. And that's not really what we get here. We are just wicking and rejecting these gaps until we literally like just reject these gaps and are just kind of like being sus until here. So I'm like, yeah, already this is pretty fucking whack. So I look to see on a lower time frame, see what we could be generating liquidity for, or what could we be building towards. And I see that there's this other 5 minute, and I'm like, oh, maybe we could take on from there. Maybe we're just, because we are rejecting, we're rejecting here, we're rejecting here. However, I took it as we're generating liquidity, so I'm still bullish up to this point. And yeah, I'm just waiting for this gap, which is probably in a super nice little discount. We go ahead and mark it out, right? Yeah, it is literally perfect. That's CE of that gap. So what happens? We're waiting, we're still waiting. I do suggest that you guys actually like find reasons why you're fading, and narrative wise and story, like just to build conviction and discretion. as you go instead of trading so mechanical, because yes, any mechanical trader wouldn't have taken this because it's mechanically invalid. However, I want you to understand why you're not taking it as a story and narrative sort of format. Understanding why you're not taking instead of mechanically following these rule sets that do avoid losses, but yeah, I don't want you to rely on them. So yeah, we just keep displacing 945. We are the discount of that 930 PO3 opening price, 930 high right here, 945 high right here. We're just generating liquidity, which is looking pretty good for long still. Then 10 a.m. opens, right? 8, 9. I'm not taking any trades till 10 a.m. Pretty sure we get that 5-minute gap tap, but by then we had already closed through this 15-minute gap, which is already kind of was like the second gap is essentially my condition. If it gets closed through, I would be targeting this swing low, and so now we're just like kind of like actually respecting the ES gap on the 4-hour that we are in, and actually just reversing from this and respecting this range, which is kind of making me flip my bias, but not completely for now. But yes, this second 15-minute gap would be my condition, in which we are just ripping on down. Pretty sure people took trades towards this swing low, which is just a very obvious draw, and we are just displacing so much lower. By this point, I don't really want to take longs, even if this was, it's just so many gaps as well. Actually, I think I was looking at this 2-minute gap, which I don't even think gets inversed at all. It was decent, but no. We are just displacing lower and lower and lower. By this point, I'm like, okay. Yeah, okay. We are cooked for longs. This is just a falling knife. Need to identify generating liquidity with just bad PA. This is an example of just a falling knife structure. You wouldn't want to catch a falling knife, that's hence the name. Just don't want a long here. Conditions are getting rammed through. We're getting this swing low. You could catch a mech, which is kind of what I was aiming for at the time, if I did want to take longs to this 5-minute gap. We don't necessarily have to retrace. Yeah, just guess mech longs here, but not even. Yeah, just due to. Let me make sure. Yeah, so I know you could have maybe wanted these previous day lows right here, but this is what ultimately, with a bearish bias, my draw was. But yes, this is a very, very, very good draw, which I was looking at as well. But yes, we are just displacing and displacing, running that draw. And at this point, I could maybe get a little mech along. Well, let's just see what happens, right? Yeah, we just go through that draw, man. At this point, we can either get a continuation short to that target or get a mech long at this point, but it's not really looking like either. More of like a trend day. Not even a trend day, it's more of like price just literally dumped. Just very unfortunate. Yeah, 10 a.m. PO3s are just not really lining up that well. Here at this point, I think yeah, we just took out this draw. And by this point, sorry I missed it, but yeah, 10:15. We did inverse this, and now we are just super bear. Right? I think at this point, what was I looking for? I don't remember. I think it was, I was looking for a continuation. You're right. So, yes, we did take this out, but this isn't prominent enough for me to Because if you think about it, the only reason why we would go lower high time frame is to rebalance this overextended leg. So for me, my thinking was the only reason we're going longer is to rebalance a range or inefficiencies that haven't been touched, which at equilibrium is just basically this gap. So that was more or less where my draw is. I'll mark it out just in case. But yes, the only reason we would go down is like super high time frame with an actual reasoning is to rebalance this range and get a little retrace going on the higher time frame since we are pretty overextended. Yeah, this would lie a little better in equilibrium. So yes, we inversed these 50 minutes, and yes, we did take out this draw, this low, swing low right here, but I still think the draw is lower. So what happens? What am I looking at right here? Oh yes, I marked out the 15-minute. We had this 15-minute gap and a 30-minute gap up here, but the 30-minute gap just seemed a little unreasonable, and it would just basically pay out in another session. So this was the only trade I was looking at, and yeah, we do tap the 15-minute after edging it. We do tap it, but we just don't get a inverse. Yep, I was looking at this gap to get inverse, but we just respected it. So ultimately, at this time, it is already 10:55, and things are I'm just out. Super out. I'm already doom scrolling because I don't really see any reasoning. Oh, no, it was this one. I was looking to enter off of this inversion, I think. Because we are respecting CE of the 15-minute gap and get a little healthy gap right there, but we edge the inversion and we would have to wait another 5 minutes at 11, which is just retarded. Or no, it was this one, sorry, it was this one. We edge it and we just displace higher, and by this time our session already ended, so yeah. Overall, just a no trade day, but a good day to just learn to be patient, cautious, and understand story and narrative, and just how important it'll be so you can avoid getting burnt and getting losses, unnecessary losses. Remember that with profitability comes when you remove the losses. At first you're just break even, then you add winners. First you're just losing, then you add your winners, then you break even, then you remove your unnecessary losers, and that's ultimately how you gain profitability. So days like these, you should be learning from shit days, you should be learning from winning days, and you should be learning from losing days, all just as much as each other. So yeah guys,